Hi writers, and welcome to this video on your research project, your recycled research essay. This video will be going over some steps for you to take to be successful with your research project, and it will be going over the research prompt just to clarify some questions you might have about what it is you're being asked to do. I'm going to start on Module 4, which is the beginning of our research project. It's really important when you begin a module that you start in the very beginning because there's information in each of the pages that's going to help you feel a little bit more informed, and it's going to build your confidence as a researcher and as a research writer. If you click on the beginning of the module, I explain here what it is I'm asking you to do when you begin your research and what this last unit is tasking of you. So here is your to-do list, folks. First, you're going to pick one of the essays that you wrote, essay number 1 or number 2, and you're going to read over that essay and find areas in it that you want to explore more. You'll be doing this you already did this in the discussion for week 13. This was pointing or finding those golden lines in your essay so that you kind of know the areas or pockets of your research that you want to explore further. So keep in mind you are taking one of the essays that you've already written and you're going back into it, but in order to be able to do that, you have to put on a curious mindset. You have to think about what it is that you are curious about and what it is that you want to learn more about that you from the ideas that you've already researched so far. In terms of your actual to-do list here, you're going to find a variety of sources that are in conversation with one another or are discussing your topic from different perspectives. So keep in mind the research projects are going to vary because it depends on which essay you're picking to explore it more. If you pick essay number 1, you might be exploring Tara Yosso's cultural wealth, you might be exploring literacy, you might be exploring an idea that was presented in one of Natalie Goldberg's stories, like accept ourselves, or the rules of writing practice. And so you really have to look over the essay that you're picking, essay 1 or 2, and dig a little deep in there and see what ideas are there that got you curious and got you thinking. It might be helpful if you take your essay and print it out and then write some questions in the margins as you're reading over your own ideas. If you have a hard time doing this, I would encourage you to ask someone else to look over your essay and to tell you what questions they have about the ideas that you've presented. If you can get an objective or an outside perspective, that might help you. But again, if you're not sure, refer to week 13. In the first discussion, you're going to be going over your own essay and practicing that pointing technique. But your task is to take your essay and develop it with research. So the kinds of research that you're going to find really depend on what your topic is as well. You're going to build and deepen your conversation with your sources, and then you're going to revise your own thesis to be updated with the new information that you've found. I'm not going to go over that part now because it really depends on what your topic is, so I'm going to move a little bit further into your essay formatting options. When you format your essay, you have a few choices, and I want you to keep in mind that it's okay for you to choose, and I encourage you to choose the format that works best for you. The first option is for you to take your essay and to just expand it. Just go in and add research to make it longer. I've given you a sample of that in this module, but I want you to take a look at what it could look like. This is a sample by Alexander Biker, titled Life is Filled with Loneliness. So I want you to pay attention to the structure and format because this is what a traditional research essay looks like. It has a header with his last name, it has his name, my name, the title of the class, and the date, along with a title. And then his introductory paragraphs and his breakdown paragraphs discussing loneliness and why it's a major problem in our culture. There's a definition of what it means to be lonely, and a little bit of a history lesson to help us understand that loneliness is a lot more complicated than we might think. Again, this is a traditional research essay format where Alex has woven in different sources, like the Bible, to discuss his topic, which is loneliness. Another way that you can structure your essay is option number 2. In option number 2, you're still adding research just like you would for your option number 1, Except for with this one, you're sectioning off your research with headings. So again, it's entirely up to you which option you want to look at, which option you want to try on, what makes sense to you. You're going to be using your ideas from essay number 1 or 2 as you recycle them into your research project, and it's up to you how much of your ideas you want to keep and if you want to discard any of them. You can even start from scratch. I don't necessarily encourage you to do that because you've probably generated some beautiful ideas in your research. I mean, in your first essay that you wrote or your second essay that you wrote. So I want you to skim over it and think very consciously about the paragraphs that you want to keep, and it may be all of your essay, and the paragraphs that you want to get rid of, and maybe it's 1 or 2. This is what your essay is going to look like if you choose option number 2. Here's a sample from Ava Gallo from a year ago in fall of 2020. Her topic is America's school system, and her argument is clear in her title, Time for an Upgrade. She sections off her essay by using questions that she puts in bold. She makes little areas of her research so that her essay reader can follow along. But she's still making all of the same moves as Alex did in his essay. She's still introducing her topic. She's still explaining what she's going to do in her research project for the reader. And she's still integrating her sources into her research. Again, she chose to section off her essay with questions that she had about her topic that she put in bold. There's many ways you can section it off if you choose option number 2, where you're using headings. You can section it off by sources, you could section it off by topics or subtopics, and again, you can follow Ava's approach and section it off by the questions that you had as you were researching and investigating and using your curious mind and imagination to go further into your subject. Now I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the grading checklist. This could also be called your rubric. This is a rubric by which I am grading your research essay. Keep in mind, I'm not a super stickler, but I do want you to know that this is the criteria. For example, if you've made errors or mistakes in your essay, I'm not going to mark your essay down by an entire grade unless those mistakes or those grammar and mechanics and spelling are getting in the way of what it is you're trying to communicate. If your grammar, spelling, punctuation, syntax, and all that is actually hindering my ability as your reader to understand your point, that's a problem. If you have a few typos or misspelled words or coordinating conjunction that's not accurate, it's not that big of a deal. As far as your actual criteria, the things that are really important, I want you to take a look at the grading checklist with me. I'm asking for 6 to 8 full pages, not including your works cited page. 6 to 8 full pages might sound like a lot, but just think of it this way. If you're starting with your original essay, essay 1 or 2, and that essay is already 3 or 4 pages, then all you're really adding is 2 or 3 more pages. Now, I know I'm making it sound easy, and it's definitely not, because you're still gathering research, and then you have to ask yourself, how am I going to integrate my research? So we're going to take it slow. I want you to first remember that there's all kinds of sources that you can use. You can use TED Talks, you can use a blog post, you can even use your favorite song. If you're writing an essay on a topic like compassion and you have a song that makes you feel compassionate, or maybe they even sing about compassion, or they sing about something that reminds you of the feeling of compassion, why not put that song into your essay? Think about how you would do it though. How would you introduce your reader to a song that maybe your reader has never heard? And how do you make it significant to your reader why you're using your song in the first place? You're going to have to make some academic moves, just like you would if you were integrating an article or a book or a source that might seem to be more academic than a song. I'll give you an example. There's a song that I really love by a band called The Anxiety, and it's called Meet Me at Our Spot. That song is about trying to escape the stressors of the world. Maybe if I was doing a research project on fear, stress, and anxiety, I would use that song. But how would I integrate that song? Well, first I'd have to summarize what the song is about, and I might even use lyrics from the song to do that. So you can trust yourself to paraphrase or summarize, but you can always use your source, a line, a golden line, or a golden thread or quote to help you do that. In fact, you can't use the source on your Works Cited page unless you've actually cited it in your essay. Keep that in mind. Whenever you want to use the source, it's your job to actually summarize that source. And that is why summary is one of the actual criteria on the rubric. You're also going to be looking at a variety of sources, your ability to cite those sources, and to be able to weave them in naturally. We have templates from They Say, I Say on our homepage, and that will help you sandwich your quotes into your essay. So keep these in mind. I want you to skim over the grading checklist so that you're clear about what it is you're being asked to do. But I also want you to remember that everything that's on this checklist you've probably already done before. So I want you to open your arms wide to the universe, take a nice deep breath in, and remember, you have done this before. You have these skills. You've written summary, you've gathered research, you've made an argument, you've attempted to create a works cited, and you've sustained your thoughts in an essay with a beginning, a middle, and an ending, including body paragraphs. You've done it for essay number 1 in this class, or you've done it for essay number 2. Remember that. Anytime you feel stressed or overwhelmed, I want you to stop, take a breath, observe how you're feeling, and then proceed. I hope this video helped. And remember, you can post any questions you have in our discussion.